literally taking over. Antonio Gibson then would wind up scoring a couple more touchdowns. This is the rookie running back waving bye-bye, literally and figuratively, to the Cowboys and probably their playoff hopes. Gibson, 3 touchdowns on the day. He's the first rookie to score 3 touchdowns on Thanksgiving since Randy Moss in 1998. There's his third. That one put the cherry on top of the Sunday, and it was all over. Washington pulls away and wins big, and one can only wonder what Jerry Jones is thinking as he watches. We never wonder what Stephen A. Smith is thinking as he watches the Cowboys struggle on Thanksgiving or, frankly, any other day. And Stephen A., first off, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And the most important thing, I felt I needed to have you on today for this reason. Because I said to you when we were on with me the other day, I said to you, Steve, we know what's going to happen now. The Cowboys are going to win the division. And you know what? I feel like a fool. You were right. They always find a way. How about yesterday?
Well, first of all, I want to say this. I was right there with you. I certainly felt that way, and it's still quite possible that they can win the division. We all know that because we don't anticipate that the Washington football team, you know, the team that doesn't even have a name, the team that we can't even tell whether or not they're from D.C. or the Pacific Northwest because they haven't made it very clear. We understand all of those things, right? Excuse me. The bottom line is this, though. We have to focus on yesterday. Even though we may have been wrong, you feel like a fool. I feel ecstatic. I feel wonderful. I mean, did you see how they collapsed? I mean, on Thanksgiving, they stuck up the joint. I thought that their holidays were going to actually be good for Cowboy fans. Can't be good after yesterday, what transpired yesterday afternoon. This is a very, very beautiful day. Cowboy fans everywhere. I can't find anybody. Now, I will give credit to my buddy, the playmaker himself, Michael Irvin, that Hall of Famer with the yellow jacket, obviously 3 Super Bowl titles. Now, he did ultimately come out of hiding. It took him about 12 hours, Greeny, but he came out of hiding to actually speak to me just literally a few minutes ago and tried to make the excuse that, you know what, it all coalesced with one another. It's come together. Just like this is an awful year for the world. You know what? It's right in line with the Cowboys. Just trying to find a way to soften the blow of their ineptitude. But there's no pulling this off. Fake punts, interceptions, fumbles by Ezekiel Elliott. No matter which way you turn, Antonio Gibson looking like the second coming of Barry Sanders or Walter Payton or Jim Brown, whatever word, whatever name you want to come up with. This is what happened to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I've got to tell you something right now, Grady. For those Cowboy fans out there, I don't blame them for hiding. I don't blame them for trying to sit up there and disguise their identities. I mean, listen, as awful as they looked yesterday, they deserve it. For me personally, I understand you feel like a fool. I feel absolutely wonderful. This is a beautiful post-Thanksgiving moment as far as I'm concerned. I absolutely love Thanksgiving yesterday. It's one of the best Thanksgiving I've had in quite some time. Matter of fact, the last 2 years, considering how the Dallas Cowboys stuck up the joint against the Buffalo Bills last year, and then they come and they lose this time around. My last couple of Thanksgivings have been quite wonderful, I might say.
Let's talk about the fake punt. We've spent a lot of time on it here.
Yeah.
What did you think of the play? What does it say about the coach's confidence in his team? Just what were your thoughts on that play?
Honestly speaking, in all seriousness, Greeny, I think Mike McCarthy has lost confidence in himself. I think that the year away from football has hurt him. He doesn't look better. He looks worse. Obviously, he had Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback all of those years, but there's something to be said that when you have somebody that great, that lethal, and you still end up losing your job when you're supposed to be an offensive mind and your captain, your orchestrator is Aaron Rodgers, and you can't find a way to get it done, even though they did win the Super Bowl in 2010. The bottom line is, you know what, in the end, Aaron Rodgers thought you were a bit archaic, and for some reason, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones decides to bring this man on board. In no way am I trying to imply that Mike McCarthy doesn't deserve to be a head coach in the National Football League, but he's clearly not the right guy for the Dallas Cowboys because things apparently have to be ideal in order for him to resemble a head coach in the National Football League, a capable head coach. That was not a good call by any stretch of the imagination, and what was most embarrassing is how he tried to explain it in the aftermath in a post-game conference when he talked about you got to believe. You can't, there's no chance of a play succeeding if you don't even try it, if you don't believe in it. I'm paraphrasing it, but that's essentially what he said. And so he has this kind of mentality. I understand that Dak Prescott is out. I totally get that. There's been, a slew of injuries on your offensive line. All of those things are legit. But when you got Ezekiel Elliott and you got CeeDee Lamb and you got Michael Gallup and you got Amari Cooper, okay, you should be able to figure out a way not to lose to a team that has a quarterback that essentially was out for the previous 2 years, okay, and you don't have much to speak of on the offensive side of the ball, and still you get shellacked the way that they did. It's no excuse for it. It was a bad call, but ultimately it was a bad game, period.
No question. Now, listen, right before, in that little highlight that I showed right before I brought you on, we saw Jerry Jones sitting in his box. And Ed Werder made the point earlier that in all other seasons, you would hear from Jerry Jones after all of these games. But this year, because of the circumstances, the reporters aren't able to go be around him. So we can only wonder, what do you think? Because I know you follow him closely and you know him. What do you think is going through his mind as he watches this?
I think that Jerry Jones is a prideful man that doesn't want to admit prematurely, to say the least, that he made the wrong decision at head coach. Somebody that's younger, somebody that has the ability to ingratiate themselves with players a little bit better may have been the right man for this job. Again, that's not casting any aspersions on Mike McCarthy in terms of his resume. He is a Super Bowl champion. He's been to numerous NFC championship games. And I think that the man should be a head coach in the National Football League, but not the Dallas Cowboys. When you consider the star, America's team, all the ambiance that comes associated, the microscope that they are under, how Jerry Jones is your president and your GM and everything in between, and you've got all of this stuff going on, that's not the kind of environment that a guy like Mike McCarthy, in my opinion, can handle. He wants to go about the business of just coaching a football team, but it takes a little extra to coach the Dallas Cowboys. And it takes a little extra to ingratiate yourself with guys who know you're not really the man. The owner, Jerry Jones, is the man, and his son, Stephen Jones, is the man. It's not the head coach. You at the very least fall third in line in the eyes of the players. And when they know that, it's just a different relationship that they ultimately end up having with a coach. And it's really unfortunate that Mike McCarthy is in this situation because, again, we've seen other coaches get let go prematurely. You brought up Jim Caldwell a bit earlier in the show in Detroit, how they made an egregious decision by letting him go. We saw other programs. We saw the Arizona Cardinals basically say with Wiltz, you're out of here after 1 year. And even though I didn't like that decision, at the end of the day, with Kingsbury along with Kyler Murray as your quarterback, they seem to be moving in a forward direction. You cannot stick with a decision that's so flagrantly wrong as this one. And I think that Jerry Jones recognizes that. It's just that he's going to be incredibly hesitant to do anything about it, probably because of COVID-19, along with the fact that he doesn't want to admit so early and prematurely that he may have been wrong. That's not his way. But the Dallas Cowboys will sink because of it. It's unfortunate for them because I don't wish that on him. I don't wish that on the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboy fans, I couldn't be happier for their misery.
So I've less than a minute here, Steve, but it does all kind of lead to this. You've got Mike McCarthy, and you wonder what happens to him. If you bring back Dak next year, it's going to cost you at least $39 million. You're paying a fortune to Amari Cooper, a fortune to Zeke Elliott, a fortune to some players on that defense. Do you think it is time that Jerry just hits the button and blows the whole thing up? Just start the entire franchise over again from scratch?
No, I don't think so. I think that Jerry and Stephen Jones has enough talent on this squad to do things right. You just have to find the right man to lead them. And you, Jerry Jones, have to have the decency and the intelligence to step back and recognize the fact that you can't go out on the field and coach them. So you got to pick the right man for the job, and you got to roll with him, period. That's what you got to do.
Stephen A. Smith, again, a very happy Thanksgiving to you and to your family. I know it was fun for you yesterday.
To you and
20 minutes from First Take coming up live here on ESPN. 20 minutes, Max, Stephen A., Molly, and company are ready to go. Thank you, Stephen A. Meanwhile, let me bring Mark Sanchez back in just for a moment because, he was the Masked Singer, and so on this program, he is the Masked Slinger. Looking at some quarterback matchups this weekend. Mark, Brady head-to-head with Mahomes. Who's going to have a bigger day?
I think it's going to be Mahomes. We've seen just a little bit of hesitation with Brady, that marriage with Bruce Arians not going according to plan. And Patrick Mahomes, I mean, this guy's on cruise control right now. He looks so strong. He's throwing underhand passes, left-handed passes. Look for one around his back this week. He looks too comfortable.
Next, two young stars meeting up in Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. Who has a bigger day?
You know, Justin Herbert's lighting this league on fire. Other than his new haircut, he looks like Central Casting from Stand By Me. Remember that old movie, those kids walking around on the train track looking for whatever? But listen, Josh Allen, he's having a career year. Completion percentage is off the charts. He's playing great. They helped him out getting Stephon Diggs, and that's been huge for him. He's got a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I'll take Josh Allen.
I like it. All right, one more. Two young quarterbacks. Tua versus Darnold. Who has a better day?
You know, a strange week last week for Tua, getting benched against the Denver Broncos. I got more on that. We could talk about that in a minute. But listen, he's going to have a great game this week. I really think that they saw, some good defenses last week. He was very conservative, threw the ball away, took sacks when he needed to, missed on a couple deep balls. But this is the week they're going to open up the playbook for him and start to develop this young quarterback that has all the